Tensions have been rising outside a Hong Kong court. A judge has granted bail to 15 out of 47 pro-democracy activists facing subversion charges. But the Department of Justice immediately appealed the verdict. And that means all will remain behind bars for now. Hundreds have gathered outside the court, prompting a police warning that the crowds could be violating the national security law. Roland Lim joins us live from Hong Kong. Roland, no one released it today despite the court granting bail to 15 of the activists. What happened?
Right, yes. This is a highly unusual situation in that this is the first time that anyone that is charged under the national security law has been granted bail. That being said, the 15, which included lawmakers like Jeremy Tam, Helena Wong, Kwok Ka-ki, as well as district councillors like Kelvin Ho and other district councillors and social workers, they were granted bail on the condition that they do not make direct or indirect speeches that would violate the national security law or actions that would also violate the national security laws, and that they cannot be participating or organizing any unofficial election polls or have any contact with foreign officials during their time out on bail. But as you said, right after being granted that bail, the Department of Justice then called for a review of Magistrate Victor So's decision. So they'll be back in court again. The 15th will be back in court again in the next 48 hours. Meantime, for all 47, the court date has been assigned as for the 31st of March. That's the first day of their hearing. This means that the prosecution has gotten its wish of a 3-month extension in order to build a case against the 47 that are charged with subversion of state power. They are wanting more time to review the hundreds of mobile devices that they've collected, as well as to delve deeper into their financial backgrounds as well. So that was the reason why the prosecution wanted more time to make a better case, as it were, for the 47 that are being charged under the national security law. Of course, it is a serious offense, carrying a minimum of 10 years and the maximum of life in prison. So many people are also watching this closely for that very reason.
Yeah, and given the attention, Roland, what's been the reaction to the ruling?
Well, as you mentioned, hundreds of pro-democracy supporters were outside the West Kowloon court today. They were holding their mobile phones as flashlights. They are obviously disappointed that no one walks out of the court today and that the 47 are going to be remanded in custody. That being said, that result is also not unexpected by many. Remember, as I said earlier, we've already had other people charged under the national security law. Media mogul Jimmy Lai, for example, has twice tried to apply for bail at the Court of Final Appeal. That's the highest court in the land, and twice failed. He's being charged with collusion with foreign forces under the national security law. We've also had foreign diplomats and rights groups that have actually tried to participate, or not participate, but to witness the trial as it went on. They are concerned, of course, about the independence of the judiciary and how the national security...
We've just lost Roland Lim there. Apologies for that. All right, our headline story then. China plans to foster what it calls patriotism among Hong Kong's youth as it starts its biggest annual political meetings. And for a closer look now, we're joined by Victor Gao. You saw him earlier. Here he is, director of the China National Association of International Studies. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Gao. Firstly, a dominant theme for the two sessions appears to be ensuring that Hong Kong is only governed by patriots. Can we expect Beijing to implement drastic changes for the city then?
Well, first of all, China is holding the two sessions, the most important political events in the year. And as for the patriotism in Hong Kong, I think it is a must for any jurisdiction, name it, in the United States or United Kingdom or anywhere else. Patriotism should be the rule of the thumb for the country or the jurisdiction involved. Hong Kong should not be an exception. Anyone serving in the government should be loyal to Hong Kong and loyal to China as the sovereign. That's not surprising, I suppose.
But at the same time, Mr. Gao, there's been no mention of the one country, two systems for Hong Kong in this countries and in its annual report. Is it perhaps a sign that Beijing might be reneging on its promise of autonomy?
No, the one country, two system is enshrined in the basic law, which is the cardinal law for Hong Kong, and it is meant to continue all the way to 2047, and if everything works out, it may even be extended beyond 2047. So I think Hong Kong people will continue to enjoy their rights and democracies under the one country, two system, at least up to 2047. There will be no change.
Mr. Gao, just to touch on something you said earlier, is it possible to be both loyal to Hong Kong and loyal to China?
Well, Hong Kong is part of China. China is the ultimate sovereign of Hong Kong. Therefore, there should be no contradiction. If you are loyal to Hong Kong in real essence, you need to be loyal to China, which is the sovereign. There should be no contradiction among these two loyalties. Hong Kong is the lesser of a greater China.
Well, getting back to what's on the agenda, one of those things is going to be ties with Washington. Is there a chance, perhaps, that these two powers are going to be able to reset relations?
Definitely. Personally, I'm very confident about what President Biden and his administration will do in handling China-U.S. relations. We are waiting for more signals from the Biden administration. There are lots of difficulties between China and the United States which need to be handled very carefully. However, I think China and the United States need to figure out a way to get along with each other, despite of all the differences and difficulties, and to be constructive in handling this most important bilateral relations in the world. We are confident. We hope President Xi Jinping and President Biden will do the right thing for China as well as for the United States. And this, in turn, will serve the fundamental interest of mankind as a whole.
And how can we expect China to approach its post-pandemic economic recovery?
Well, I think last year China was the only larger economy in the world which achieved a positive growth, more than 3.6% for the whole year. This year, the expectation is that the Chinese economic growth will be more than 6%, up to, for example, 8%. And the whole country right now is fully mobilized in putting the pandemic behind us and in focusing on revitalizing the economy. And I have no doubt that for this year, China will remain the most important economic growth engine for the world economy, and China will contribute to the fight in terms of providing more and more vaccines to different countries in the world so that the whole world can work together to put the pandemic behind us.
Well, thank you for sharing your perspectives with us this evening. Victor Gao from the China National Association of International Studies.